Thanks for tuning in and welcome to episode 106 of the Run to the Hills podcast, the one where we talk to Emma Stuart. The Run to the Hills podcast is sponsored by Chia Charge. Chia Charge make nutritious, tasty and easy digestible flapjacks and nut butters, including a delicious vegan range. Go and check them out at www.chiacharge.co.uk.
Don't get the Chia Charge seeds though in the bits between your keyboard like I just did.
Oh, well, I thought you were going to say teeth.
Yeah, well, I'm quite used to my teeth, but they just got into the bits in my keyboard. I had to clean my keyboard the other day.
Well, that's a gross job.
Oh,
it's
that's
not quite down the side of the sofa cleaning, but it's not very good.
Sorry for that crass introduction. You just read that really well. Have you been vlogging, Gary? Have you been practicing your pieces to camera? Hi, everybody. Welcome. Hi.
You know what? When I listen back to the podcast, I race through the intro and I get faster and faster and faster. So I thought, Gary, just slow it down.
Love it. I love it.
But yes, I have been vlogging again. And I think for my little, I don't want to say a little, I've got to try and get out of that small, just
what
doing this.
I think, no, it's not little, Gary.
For my vlog, it went really, really well. I think 700 views. Awesome.
Who are these sick people?
Crazy. I know.
Jeez.
Yeah. And Sunday it was like almost going viral. You on YouTube, you see like a little line, a curve, and it just went it just ticked straight up on Sunday. So people were really bored on Sunday evening and tuned into my vlog. But yeah, really, really just blown away. So thanks everybody who tuned in. And what was awesome too, people were commenting and saying what races they were up to and stuff like that. So really
you love the chitter chatter, don't you, Gary?
Yeah, super good to connect with people. So yeah, big thanks to everybody who watched, and fingers crossed you come back because there is a new vlog out now.
Oh my God, we got
total promotion for me.
Like countdowns. You're going to do like on Instagram, like 2 days to a new vlog.
Yeah, I should start premiering it. But yeah, so that was good, really good. And I enjoyed it. So hopefully, but yeah, my goodness. So you do your vlog and you'll finish your run on Sunday. And I think, oh yeah, I want to get it up on Sunday night. But no. That is too much quick turnaround. So Monday, Tuesday, I think when the vlogs will probably land in the future. So, and also, yeah, first week of training.
What are you training for, Gary? What are you training for?
Well, yeah, this is Ali Bailey called me out. So this is a really long training block, Gary. Yeah, Lakeland 100's quite a way off. But yeah, ultimately, it's all for the Lakeland 100 2023. I was one of the fortunate few to get through the ballot. So yeah, if you're going to be there doing the 50 or 100, well done, and commiserations if you just missed out. It was so oversubscribed. I think you had a 1 in 3 chance for the 50, which is absolutely bonkers.
We're going to talk about that later, aren't we? We're going to put some ideas down on other things you can do.
Yes, loads of stuff to do. So that was good to get, and I did the 3 quality sessions, filled the cup pretty full, but I was way off fitness and speeds where I should be. So that was a bit down the dumps.
Yeah, you're just coming back. You shouldn't be anywhere. It should be all on feels.
Exactly.
Does it feel good? You're in the right place. Does it feel hard? Probably. Can you recover? Yes. Done. Just go on.
This is it. You know, every session, I think I could have done a bit more.
Perfect.
So
remember, Gary, the motto of this podcast: set the bar low, and you will always achieve.
That is my life, actually, generally speaking. But that was good. And we went to see Maverick, Top Gun, last night.
You've not seen that yet? The Sunlight
No.
For ages.
Yeah, loved it. But in the build-up to the movie, we did a lot of Googling on Tom Cruise and his height. That came up because my son's growing and he was just curious if he was taller than Tom Cruise. And we just thought he was. But turns out Tom Cruise is 5'7". So...
Doesn't he wear like shoes with the built-in heel and stuff?
Heels, yeah, like Putin. I think Putin does.
Do you have those? Do you have those in your trainers?
Some Hawk, the very original Hawkers where they're like massive. That's quite a full wig, Eddie. Actually, I don't think anything else.
I'm not surprised you had time to even. Yeah, that's why you ghosted me over the weekend because you're so busy with the vlog. It's like,
I've got to give a shout out. So before we move on,
yes.
Jonathan Zinkel, my goodness me, you know, we kind of give a shout out for people who've been busy at UTMB and all their various events. And I can't believe it. I forgot to give Jonathan a shout out. But yes, Jonathan, well done. pretty sure it was a CCC he did. So yeah, sorry about not mentioning it in last week's show, but yeah, well done over there.
Forgive us. Oh God, Lloyd's Bank is texting me saying I'm overdrawn. Go away.
Do they do that one where put some money in your bank by 5 o'clock? Otherwise, we're going to hit you with a massive.
The French, like, they get really angry if you're overdrawn. You get phone call, like constant bombarded.
Oh, hey.
Lloyd's are slightly softer. They're like, you might think about putting some money in your account.
What is this North Face purchase?
I'm spreading my spine purchases, and I bought my handheld GPS this week. I dropped it into conversation as Bryn was heading off to work, and he goes really early. So I was like, oh, and he's worried about me because he's worried I'm not doing enough kit admin preparation. So I said, I got a couple of things for the spine. So I've ordered a variety of different waterproof socks to try out. I don't get excited about those, Gary. So I'm like, come on, sort it out. No excitement about knee length waterproof socks and trying them out. But anyway, I need them, ordered, blah, blah, blah. And then, but they handheld you. So I did quite a lot of research, looked back on all the spine posts about what worked, what didn't, what I should get. And so it is quite an expensive purchase. But I was telling him, I was like, it even works with night vision goggles, which made him splurge.
Oh, he was in. As soon as you said night vision.
He's like, oh, I love it. I was like, I had to get a bit more expensive one because it's got the European maps on so that we can use it over here. Oh. And I said, I didn't get the extra bit where you can send the emergency beacon because I thought I would just freak you out if suddenly I sent the emergency beacon. He's like, oh, yes. And I was like, but I can use it and then you can have it as your Christmas present. No silence after that.
Is the maps on the wrist not good enough?
You have to have a handheld as well.
I see. Okay.
You have to have a handheld as well as the watch. And I think I will probably carry the handheld in my either in my front pocket or I'm going to wear a waistband as well. So I've got instant mappage of where I am, so that you can quickly. The more you, obviously, when you get really cold and you're stopping and you're trying to find bearings, you're trying to find the right line of something, the quicker you can do that and the quicker you know where you are. And I think in the middle of the night, the handheld is going to be better. And
what brand is it? I'm only aware of Garmin, really. Is it a Garmin?
Garmin. I've just gone Garmin because I've got a Garmin watch. Then we can tally together. I know how Garmin works. I also know Garmin's customer service is really good as well. So if something goes wrong, you can replace bits on it and they'll help me out. So
this is really techie, but could you then set that away as an activity too on your handheld GPS? So you've got backup if you...
Yes, exactly.
Awesome.
So...
I really like the look of those, and I don't really run in places that well, maybe they would need it actually. Sometimes there's no phone signal, but you get the little Garmin inReaches, which are purely I think kind of SOS devices.
It's good to have, isn't it? Anyway, I shall share my journey with that. I'm a handheld device virgin, so I'm going to put some routes on it, random routes, and just, even though if I know the way, I'm going to check that I can read what it looks like on the map. That's all sad stuff. So don't worry, Bryn, I am doing my spine admin, just slowly. I had my biggest week last week, Gary. Huge week. I binged.
Hit me with the numbers.
I binged. You want a number? I don't know them specifically, but it was about 18 hours of training, about 3 hours on my bike. Oh yeah. So I've been asked. Well, I didn't ask. I've joined this Swift racing team. So every Tuesday night, I'm joining these Swift races. Their transfer fee was low. It's women's only because I've always done men's races and I didn't realize this, that I've always raced at Cat B. If you're into Swift or biking, you'll sort of get this, but against men, and they're so hard. But apparently it's a little bit easier in the women's race, so I've been told. And I'm going to race the lower end of category B, which is because I was like, oh, I'm not sure with training, I really love to have some bike workouts and it'll keep me motivated to cross train, but I'm not sure that I'll have that extra push. Can't affect my spine training. Anyway, I'm racing the lower end of the B team, basically. Perfect.
But will you get forced to promote if you're just too good in the B group?
I don't think we're going to have that issue, Gary. I'm going to be a solid member. I'm going to turn up for every race. I'm going to be sort of like the, I'm trying to think of a football player, solid, just never, nothing fancy, just always there. It's going to put in a decent performance. You can rely on me, but there's nothing special. Again, set the bar low, and we're going to achieve. So those start next Tuesday.
Cool.
I'll tell you all about it. I've got the slight fear of that, but it seems it's a women's only team, and we've got these like chat groups and stuff. And it's all like you check out the course before we get race briefings.
Oh my goodness, this sounds amazing.
No, it's serious. My biggest fear is that Bryn won't be home from work, and I'm going to be doing these races in the back room where my bike's set up, and someone's going to come in and go, "Oh, there's poo all over them," and be like, "God."
Yeah,
we'll have to see, but that's quite interesting. I'm going to do that for the next couple of months. I've already said I won't be partaking in January, but it'll be nice to do, and it will mean like sometimes I'm tempted to do. So I'll be like, oh, it's just easier to do a run for my second session, whereas it's better to bike to save the old body. Anyway, digressed. Had a massive week. I did, about 70 miles and 16,000 feet climbing.
Oh my goodness.
I tell you what, did I tell you that I went to the chiropractor last week? What did I tell you? Can't remember.
Yeah.
Did I? Yeah. Well, he did something to my ankle and my knee, and my ankle was a million trillion. I mean, I could descend, and I realized how much I haven't been able to descend. I literally had no pain. And it would move, and it would absorb the downhill, which is a bit, I've been like, it's been a bit sore on long climbs, but the downhill has been really stiff, and it's been quite scary because I've been like, I can't go fast because the ankle is like locked. Anyway, just into it. And I was able to like run almost properly downhill.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That's brilliant. I had a great week, no aches and pains. I did hill session. I did two back-to-back. Kids went back to school on Thursday. So I had a quieter lead up into Thursday because busy finding biros and stuff. And Thursday, I dropped the kids at school, got the dogs, and just went straight up the hill. Thought with my poles, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to spend, it's a beautiful day. This is my dream. The moment I drop them off, I just go outside until I have to come back and pick them up. And I just wandered around the hills. Anyway, wandered around the hills with the dogs, and it was much hotter than I anticipated. So after a couple of hours, we'd run out of water. Poor Tarka was like at my ankles going, "How's the heart?" So I was like, don't worry. I know where the next trough is. We got to the next trough. I literally emptied my bottles, got them out my pack. Loads of hikers around this trough, went to the trough, and it was off. I was like, oh
my goodness.
Rivers are not safe enough to collect the water from because we've had such a bad drought. They're like, whatever's in them. There's loads of stuff in them. I was like, oh, we're going to have to climb. I know where there's another trough, but it must be about 600, 800 meter climb up.
Oh my God.
But it's up a track. So I was like, come on, it's in the shade. Dogs will get up and over. Anyway, climbed up, got to the top, ran straight down over the other side. And the trough, the farmer had taken the tap away and like locked it. And it was just drip.
Yeah.
And I'd also thought, what can I take as a snack that might be like something I don't normally like, but like imagine if I'm going to eat some spine. So I took a really dry old pan of chocolat because I was like, this is like quite dry, going to be quite difficult to swallow. I'll do a bit of experimenting. And then I had to stand trying to eat this pan of chocolate while the tap just dripped in my Salomon soft flask. It was just saying drip, anyway, I was so desperate to drink it. Anyway, we were pretty dehydrated. We got in a bit of a state. And then as I was at the top of that, Jason and Kim, who were camping a valley or two over, said, oh, we're coming to a refuge, which I'd already been to on this run. I'd run past, I hadn't been to. We're going there for lunch. Do you want to meet there? And it was about 8K away with 500 meters of climb. I was like, so I can just run downhill or I can go to the refuge. But at the refuge, there's Jason and Kim, bonus, and they'll buy me a Coke. I was like, which do I do? Do I just run home and have like an hour at home before I get the kids? Or should I go to the refuge? So I went to the refuge. I was like, come on. Ran all the way down the hill, 800 meters down the hill, got the poles out, and I was like, I'll be with you in 20 minutes. And I charged up the hill with my poles and got to them going, I just want Coke.
Yeah.
So Coke and Myrtle Tart, amazing, lovely chat. They'd been out hiking and camping, and then ran home. So that was a 17-mile, 2,000 meter, like 5,600 feet day. Jogged home. The next day, I'd arranged to meet some vet mates for a long run, planned this run in my head, and I thought it'll be about 4 hours, 3 hours. Anyway, it ended up being 5 and a bit hours. 22 miles, 2,000 meters. Whoops. Anyway, it was great. Felt great, Gary. I felt so good. I didn't feel like I'd done the long run. I think a lot of hiking really helps. A lot of food. Anyway, went up, longs up, came down the other side, and we suddenly saw Swiss Peak Trail markers. We're like, there's a race. There's a race. And then we saw people in the race. And this is Friday. Yeah. Went up to the guy. Bonjour, ça va? Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé? You know, how's it going? What's happening? And he was like, Ça va? Tu as besoin de quelque chose? You need something? And he was like, I'm the Ravito, which is like the checkpoints around the corner. Okay, how long is your race? 350k. Whoa! How many K left? 40. Oh. When did you start? Sunday. Oh my God. Poor guy. He had these 3 women come up to him. He didn't know what hit him. He must have thought we were like hallucinations. Anyway, we carried on along this track, and every like 100 meters or so, we met some other poor soul doing this race. Weary traveler, and we sort of toned down this female attention because it was too much. And then we ran past the checkpoint, and the people in the checkpoint were like, come in. And we were like, no, we're not in the race. They're like, doesn't matter, come in. And so we came in, they force fed us snacks, and there were like men littered everywhere, all over, like on mattresses with their feet out. I helped someone put their socks on. I was like, come on, this will be you in the side. And they'd been there. The checkpoint volunteers had been there since Sunday too. But it was lovely. It's like on a hill. This lovely.
That's why they were desperate for new meat.
They were so happy chatting to us. We went off, and we passed another then it was a really steep up. So can you imagine coming out of that? And
I wonder where these guys were in the race, if they were the leaders, the mid-pack.
No, so then we did some Googling, obviously, of like, so the winner was he's a Galen. He's an American guy, had already won it.
Okay.
They weren't the last. They were sort of like middling pack. And then my friend had Googled to check that the guys we'd seen finished, which they did.
Sweet.
It was amazing. And it also scared me to think, oh my God, that's going to be me in that state of like complete unable to form a content. Anyway, that long run, it went on and on and on. On and on and on. It was magic. Long. But it was magic. So the week, it was busy, but I feel ready, and I'm starting another week, and I feel good, and that's what it's all about, Gary.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, if you're on a Tuesday and you're feeling well, that's good.
Bob Graham round, there was a lot of excitement about this, wasn't there?
Oh, that was pretty much my Saturday.
Was it? Jack Kensel, 12 hours, 23, 48 seconds. I would be remiss to mention that he did it without his top on, and he looks like some sort of Amazonian god running over the fells.
He definitely nurtured a certain look, didn't he, Jack?
But he makes it look like he's running in like some sort of like Club Los Santa or something.
Yeah.
Every video, all I saw, he's really going for it. And I read some social media post about a guy who'd been helping him out and being like, I couldn't keep up. He was so fast. You have to run so fast to do that.
I saw them all go belting out from New Hall at the start, and I just thought, oh my God, how are you going to keep up with that? Super fast. In Newland Valley, I'm sure someone was cutting his shoes off, and then he put in his super duper Nikes to do the last 5 miles.
Saw that. I was like, Gary, you need to. I got a couple of questions. Would you do the Bob Graham round again, and this time with your top off?
Yes. Well, yes, I do it again. I've got a problem. Maybe I'm some uptight middle-aged man, but I don't really like seeing people with their tops off running. I don't know why. I think
it's something that maybe you do when you're out training. If you know, like, lots of people are there, maybe put your top on.
I don't even like when I see I'm going to fall out with loads of people on social media here, but if I see a picture of someone and it's obvious they've got the top off and they're running around industrial estate in County Durham, I think I'm not interested.
Time and a place. Well, as long as you're comfortable. Would you change into your super duper carbon plated shoes the last 5 miles if you did?
I'm not chasing records, Eddie.
No, it would make the last 5 miles a bit more comfortable, would it? You put road shoes on.
Oh, wow, yeah. If you had slipped your Vaporflies on my Rebel fuel cell New Balance things I've got, that would be super comfy the last 5 miles. But I'm not. But if I was ever chasing an FKT, then maybe, but no, not for me. Not for me.
Anyway, huge congratulations. What an effort. Gosh.
What was brilliant on the open track, and anybody who watched it, you had a trophy, which was Killian's time. And then he was the dot. And sometimes, obviously, there's a bit of a lag. So you're like, what's happening? Why is he stopped coming down into Dunmill Raids? From my internet, he just seemed to stop there for ages. But Killian then was catching him up. I'm not too sure how everybody else was watching it. But yeah, super tense. Sorry, he had a pretty healthy lead in the end. Brilliant run. Some other people that had a brilliant run. John Shield, he's a busy guy, John.
He saves lives by night and he runs ultras by day.
He does, yeah. He's all around superhero. But yeah, so he was down in the Ultra Snowdon, he won it. But yeah, then I think it was a week or two ago, he was up at Loch Ness doing a 24-hour race and he did 65 miles then. So bloody hell's bells, just constantly smashing it. Really good. So he took the win of the Snowdon Ultra 50, and then Josie Nye and Melinda Marshall finished the Snowdon 50-mile ultra marathon in 12 hours, 23 minutes and 37 seconds, separated by only 0.02 of a second across the whole of that distance. I wonder if they had a deal or there was a sprint finish.
I've got some inside knowledge on that one. Yeah, they had a sort of... one took the lead at some point in the race, and then the other one overtook. And then I know Melinda caught Josie with a couple of kilometres to go. And they sort of said they'd had a great day together. They climbed Snowdonian, come down Snowdonian together, and they'd had loads of chat. And they're both mums, and they decided we'll run it in together. So it wasn't a sprint finish, it was a joint finish. Also had the Snowdon Ultra 100. Ben Wernick led from the start of the race and came into finish. Another new course record, very good weather, I think, which helped with visibility. 27 hours, 44 minutes, 17 seconds. And Helena Rennie won the women's race in 36 hours, 55 minutes, 34 seconds.
Yeah.
Buckles look awesome. They're massive.
Yeah, it shows you how tough that course is. If you think, say, Lakeland 100, sub 20 is the course record.
There's 12,000 feet climbing, so there's an extra like 1,000 meters basically, and on rockier terrain.
Yeah, buckle. I'd love a buckle, Eddie. I've not had a buckle. They look, wow, they were massive.
They were That's not a buckle. That's like a plate, Gary. Yeah. I'd like to give a shout out as well to Amy Fulford, who won Ring of Fire in some tough conditions. Don't often give personal shout outs, but I'm going to give Amy a personal shout out because her feet are ruined. And I feel for her. We've also got Dragons back ongoing at the moment, and it's great to see Lisa Watson, former friend of the show, taking the lead in the women's race. This is day 2 when we're recording this, so it will be almost finished. It finishes on Saturday, doesn't it? By the time lots of people will be listening to this. Very small women's field. Gary and I were just talking about that. A really small women's field compared to the men's field. But we're saying, like, well, you put a race at the beginning of September, neither us or your wife, Gary, would leave the kids.
No, it's not a great time for parents and
train what's needed just before that. And then also for any parents, really, you want to be at home and you want to keep a bit of consistency with any kids that are school age or college age or university age. It's a really busy week. So I think that's probably why there's quite
pretty sure if I'd have said to Lisa, go for it, I'll do everything, she just wouldn't go.
No, because it's not really about the admin. It's much more about the fact that you and the kids will probably be all right. It's just you as the mother hen likes to see your chicks safely out the coop. So lots of busyness, lots of busy stuff coming up.
Again, it's another, I couldn't afford that time away, but yeah, a big multi-day like that would be awesome. And it's quite high risk in September or the multi-day, because you could be absolutely smashed for a whole week of running, especially when you're going high in the mountains. So, but yeah, best of luck, everybody. This week we chat with Emma Stuart. We continue our Lakeland 100.
This wasn't on purpose. We seem to have just had it wasn't on purpose from me, FYI, but Gary seems to have arranged some interviews. We seem to have a Lakeland 100 binge, but they're all really interesting and different chats.
I feel a bit naughty though, because we've neglected the 50 and there was some stout races going on.
I keep messaging, and we need to tie in, sorry Katie, with a Lakeland 50 chat, because she broke the course records. We're not neglecting a 50, we just are behind the times.
That's true. But yeah, we spoke to Emma couple of weeks ago now, and she was recovering from COVID.
Yeah,
so
thank you for coming on the show. She was not very well.
She wasn't very well at all, but fingers crossed. There's been a couple of weeks have passed, so yeah, hopefully she's feeling better now and out running again.
Emma, thank you so much for coming on the show today, especially on your day off and with a minor little bit of an illness that we're not going to talk about. Where are you? What's the view from your window? And I know the answer to this, but have you been for a run today?
Oh, thanks, Adrina. Yeah, so I live in Cumbria. I'm in Penrith at the moment. I don't have a very exciting view from outside my window because I live in a housing estate. And yeah, it's not too bad. It's quite a nice estate, close to work, which obviously is important for me. Yeah, so no, I haven't been for a run today, unfortunately. I've actually not been doing much running for the last few weeks because I finished the Lakeland 100. Said I was going to take a couple of weeks off just to recover, get myself back into it. And yeah, then I got, after successfully avoiding it for 2.5 years, got the dreaded COVID.
Who was the COVID fairy at Lakeland 100? Put your hands up. Come forward and apologise.
Penrith's super popular, isn't it? I know quite a few runners who live around the Penrith area and then travel into the lakes. It gives you great access to the lakes. So it's a pretty good spot to live. Would that be typical though? After say a big event like a 100-miler, you religiously give yourself a couple of weeks off? And I know it's extended now because of COVID, but would you be quite faithful to that?
Yeah, I do actually. I'm a big believer in rest. I love it. It's my favorite thing to rest. So yeah, I definitely put a lot of emphasis on rest blocks. Yeah, go hard for a few weeks and take it easy then. So yeah, I think it's one of the most underrated parts of training really is rest. So yeah. Should be no shame in it.
I never have any problem with a rest day. I look forward to it. I have a shower, put my jeans on, do the button up. Ooh. Oh my God, it's on. I really embrace it. I know people find it hard, and I know people find it hard to rest after big races, don't they?
It's a little bit easier for me because I have a really active job, so I don't feel like I'm being lazy if I'm not. I mean, does that make sense? Because I'm always doing something.
Yeah, and you're outside and moving around. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, same with me. I'm so busy that actually rest days not. I still get 20,000 steps on my rest days. Yeah. They're not lying on the sofa as much as I'd like them to be.
And the dog. The thing is as well, when you've got a really active dog, he always needs to be taken out as well. So again, it's not always about running hard. It's time on your feet as well. So that's a big element of my training is just being on my feet. So might not be doing anything hard when I'm walking the dog, but it's still time outside. It's still time doing something.
Yeah, I think it's similar to me. I never ran for 2 weeks, but I walk the dog twice a day. So you definitely, and I think, going back to what you're saying about rest and sleep, years ago, it used to be kind of celebrated to kind of burn the candle at both ends, but I definitely think that's changed now. The narrative, and people seem to really realize how important sleep is these days, at least getting you kind of 7 to 8 hours. I think it's definitely super important. You mentioned you got a busy day job. Could you share with our listeners what your day job is? Also a bit about your running journey. And we never asked this, Eddie, but interests outside of running.
My job it eats into a lot of my time. So I'm a farm animal vet. So yes, another vet that likes to run. We seem to have a bit of a reputation for being runners. But so I just do cattle and sheep. So that's my job. I haven't done small animals in a very long time. So if anything does go wrong with my dog, I tend to panic and phone a friend. So I do clinical work, which is just bog standard clinical work. I mean, if you don't know much about kind of the agricultural industry, it's just a lot of routine stuff, pregnancy scanning, sick cows, sick calves, calvings, cesareans, things like that. Yeah. But then 2 days a week, I actually do IVF. So it's very similar to in people, so in vitro fertilization. Oh, wow. So I do that in cattle twice a week. Really enjoy that. I've only just started doing that about 3 months ago. It's quite challenging. Technically quite challenging, but it's really, really good. Yeah, I really enjoy it. So again, it's all of it is quite physical. So it's you're just constantly going, quite tiring. The on-call is probably the worst bit of it, but you get used to it after 8 years doing it.
Oh, wow. And would that be like a certain time of year? Would you literally be, working through the night? Yeah,
so it varies. I've just come off a weekend on call, so that wasn't I didn't have a great weekend on call, but sometimes it's pretty good. But during the spring, it's really, really hard. So most of the time during the spring, you'll literally be out most of the night. You'll get some sleep. But again, I genuinely think that's one of the reasons why we are quite resilient why vets are quite resilient as long distance runners, because we're able to keep working or keep going for kind of 12, 14 hours. We can go on very little sleep because that's just part of your job, and you just get on with it. You just put your head down and do it.
I imagine you've mastered the micro sleep, little kind of spontaneous nap.
Oh yeah, I was saying this to somebody because I was doing some micro napping on the Lakeland 100, and they didn't realize it was a thing. These kind of like 10, 15 seconds naps. And they're amazing. Honestly, everybody should perfect them because they really do make a huge difference. I certainly during the Lakeland 100, I remember going up the old coach road and I must have micronapped about 5 or 6 times, and it just kept me going till the end. It was great.
Oh my goodness, I never
just literally keep walking, close your eyes, keep walking. 10, 15 seconds and you're away.
A day.
Oh, wow.
Sorry? Most of your day.
I just can't believe, because I wasn't conscious I actually took a nap, or maybe I did, I didn't realize it. But yeah, so you literally be on your feet, walking, and then just close your eyes for 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah, but it seems to help me, like, because I do it, I'll sometimes have to do it if I've had a long day at work as well, or a long night on call, and you just take kind of 10, 15 seconds, just get yourself back together.
I'm going to try that. And if I fall over, I'm going to be sending you.
Don't blame me. Don't blame me.
We didn't touch on interests outside of running.
As I say, like my job kind of takes up a lot of my life. So I suppose, in a way, that is an interest outside of running. So I've got quite a big interest in sustainable agriculture. So kind of educating farmers and general public on kind of what we can do to make agriculture more sustainable. So that's an area kind of around work that I've kind of developed an interest in that. I do like other random things. So I do orienteering, which I suppose is a type of running, so maybe it doesn't count as much. I'm absolutely rubbish at it, and I usually come last, but I do enjoy it. So it's quite fun. And then just other interests outside of running, probably not much else really. I do have an interest in like history and archaeology, and if I'm got time off work or whatever and I'm not running, I'll go and tend to spend some time at like historical sites and things like that. But no, I'm a bit boring. I don't really have any interests outside of running and work.
Oh God, you have time in your life. Yeah. All of that. Boring at all.
Sounds very rich and fulfilled.
Yeah, especially with like you've had a pretty heavy racing schedule this year already, with wins at the Lap, Lady Anne's Way 100, Cheviot Goat, Kong Lake Ultra, and now Lakeland 100. Did you plan that out, that massive year to happen, or do races sort of come out and you go, got a bit of FOMO, I'm going to do this one too?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, the Cheviot Goat had originally, it was supposed to be last year. Yeah. Unfortunately, literally the day before the race, it got cancelled. So that had I hadn't intended to do it this year, but actually really enjoyed it. Really, really good race. I did sprain my ankle quite badly about 5 miles from the end. So that was the running was quite fun, but luckily it was mostly downhill. So I managed to hang on to the to first place at that point. The Lap, I had planned to do that again. That is probably one of my favorite race that I've ever done. Absolutely love it. Just such a superbly organized event. The route is just beautiful. It's flowing. Checkpoints are amazing. I just love it. So that, I had a little bit of unfinished business there from last year. I won it last year, but I felt like I could do a lot better. Okay. So I went out this year to try and beat my time, which I did. I was aiming for under 8 hours. I didn't quite get that, but for me, I ran my perfect race. There was nothing in that race that I could do better. And I was really pleased with it. And the record is there. I think the women's record can definitely go a lot lower. But it's up to somebody else to take that from me, because I couldn't do anything different. I wouldn't change a thing in that race. Really good. Yeah. And then the Kong Lakes Ultra, that was just a bit of a spontaneous thing that I just decided to do one day and actually really enjoyed it. It's a tough route. It is a really tough route, and the weather was horrific. But I really enjoyed that. And yeah, I was a bit apprehensive about it because it's got a lot of climbing, which sometimes I'm strong at climbing, sometimes I'm not. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It's such a cracking route.
Yeah, what is
so
it?
hard.
I know some people who want to do it. If you explain the route, I know it's is it like is it 60 miles or something? Have I got that wrong?
It's 50.
Oh, okay.
What was it? Is it 50? Yes, it must be. It's just over 50. I think it was 85 kilometers by the time I finished, I think it was. But yeah, it's good. I mean, the climbs just go on forever. But yeah, it's a cracking route. well, I would definitely recommend doing it. I would not rely on the flags for navigation because they blew away because the weather was so horrible. Most of the flags blew away. Oh. So you do kind of need to know where you're going on it. But it is good. It's a great event.
Yeah, I did like that.
And then you also did the Lady Anne's Way 100. Where did that fit in that schedule?
Yes, that was back in January. It was a really interesting concept. So as I mentioned earlier, I quite like history. So the Lady Anne's Way, I think it was the 25th. It was supposed to be the 25th anniversary of the establishment of the Lady Anne Clifford Way, which runs from Skipton to Penrith, and it passes by most of the castles and stately the homes that were used by Lady Anne as she travelled between Skipton and Penrith. So that route followed that for the most part. Unfortunately, because of COVID, it was postponed a year, so it was on the 26th anniversary. But it was still a really good event. So that was back in January. Weather was it Storm Malik?
I think you got a storm, yeah.
Yeah, so we got a storm. So the first half was definitely challenging, very challenging, because we were running into the wind. But the second half, once kind of darkness fell and the wind settled, it was stunning. I mean, we had clear skies. Second half was really flat. It literally ran straight past my house. That was a little bit hard because it still had about a mile and a half to go after it ran past the house.
Oh, like 40 miles. 40 miles. Like, I'm micro napping in my kitchen.
Yeah. So that was a great route. I think they're having issues this year with access either into or out of Penrith. I'm not sure which way they're going. Okay. So it is a bit shorter this year, but it's it was my first 100 miler. I really enjoyed it. Really
any big learnings from your first 100? Because often they can be baptisms of fire.
No, it was a really good race. I was quite surprised. I ate really well. Sometimes I do struggle to eat a little bit with solid food, but they had these amazing pizzas at all the checkpoints. I think every long race should have pizza. I think pizza should be mandatory at every checkpoint.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I just ate pizza for whatever it was, 19 hours or however long it took. It went really well. I really enjoyed that race. Actually, it was a good first 100 miler. It's a really nice intro to long distance. Super long distances. The checkpoints were brilliant. People were lovely. Checkpoints just spaced out enough that you feel like you're well supported, but you're not stopping all the time. So it's a good race, and I hope the full journey they can do it again because it's nice. It's just a nice distance.
That sounds awesome. And you said there's some historical element too. Do you remember who organises the race?
That I think was a collaboration between NAV4 and Due North.
I'm always interested. What is it about a race? Why the Lakeland 100? What was it about that race for you?
I think it's pretty iconic, really, isn't it? I don't know. I kind of live in my own little world of Lake District, Cumbria, Northwest England. So I never really know what's going on down south, but I think the Lakeland 100 is one of those races that no matter where you are in the country, everybody knows about it. And it's probably, I'm not sure if it is the biggest, but certainly one of the biggest. And you've got this whole festival atmosphere in Coniston for the whole weekend that makes it seem like a pretty big party, really.
It does, doesn't it?
You just got to run 100 miles before you can enjoy it again. So enjoy the festival atmosphere at the end. But no, I mean, the checkpoints, I mean, how they get so many like volunteers who just, no matter what state you're in, they just have a smile on their face and they're willing to help you. And all they want to do is give you what you need to get you to the next checkpoint. And I think that's really nice. It's just, it's a cracking event. Everybody knows it. And I mean, it's huge. I mean, you just can't believe how many people can fit on those trails, really. Like it's incredible.
I imagine the 52 is even more bonkers when I checked the very first time I had anything to do with the Lakeland 1500 was I was at the checkpoint in Howtown for the Chia Charge people when they used to sponsor that checkpoint. And when the few the kind of leaders from the 100 would come through in the early hours, and that was like really sleepy and really quiet. But then the 50 started. Yeah. My goodness me, it was like a swarm of locusts coming into. That was the first checkpoint. Everyone was pretty fresh. It was absolutely bonkers.
I remember last year when I was doing the 50. I was coming, I ran into Howtown and I came out and I thought I was like, there wasn't that many people around me. But like you say, as I was going back up the road and you're like, where have all these people come from? And it's just like, a swarm of locusts.
But did you see that also going up the Black Sail Pass? We talked about this just the other week, that if you turned around and in the nighttime you saw the headlights coming up, that was such a sight. That was to give you an idea of how many people are on that start line.
Yeah, I knew that was like worth looking behind me, but I was a little bit, I must have just been a little bit further forward than I maybe thought I was in terms of time, because there wasn't actually that many people behind me at that point. Yeah. But that moment for me was actually going up Latrick, and I looked back across and you can see the hundreds of lights coming down to Braithwaite. So that was my moment there, because like awesome. I say, when I was going up Black Sail and I looked around and there was probably only kind of maybe 3 or 4 lights coming down at that stage.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, definitely Braithwaite. I mean, the stream and lights coming back was just amazing. Yeah, incredible.
Yeah,
magical. So that was pretty cool.
Did you have a goal for the race? I mean, obviously you won it, but was that your goal from the start?
No, my goal wasn't to win it. And if it did, that was all the better. It was simply to do it in under 24 hours. That was my only goal, was to do it in sub 24. I mean, unfortunately, my watch, I don't have like a super duper fancy watch, so my battery died fairly early on. Had I known how close I was to sub 23 hours, I would have gone for sub 23, but unfortunately I had no idea. I literally, the only time I knew my time was when I came across the checkpoint, or came across the finish and saw that it was 23 hours and 5 minutes and whatever it was. And I was super pleased with that. I mean, that was, to be almost an hour ahead of where I'd set myself. My goal was brilliant, especially with the race that I had, which was really hard.
We've got Eddie and I've got some pretty detailed spreadsheets with splits on and stuff for Eddie with the spine coming up, and I did for the Lakeland 100. Did you have, I know you had this 24-hour goal, but did you have an overall average pace that you had to keep to? I know your watch died, which kind of would have messed all of that up, but or was it like literally I need to do this section in this time? I'm just curious how detailed you were, or you just literally ran to fail and hoped that would be 24 hours?
Yep. I mean, I knew I roughly had to maintain a pace of 7 kilometers an hour. So that was all it was. I wasn't going to overcomplicate it by saying, right, I need to get to here by such and such a time and things like that. My brain doesn't function well enough during a race to be able to do that. I literally just put my head down and go. And I knew if I could maintain roughly 7k an hour, I would be comfortably within that 24-hour limit. So that was really my only goal. And I knew that I was hoping, at the start I'd be able to do maybe a few 8Ks an hour, maybe 9, just to give myself a little bit of a buffer for when I to be honest, like I knew things would fall apart at some point. I wasn't expecting it to fall apart so early on, but but I'd created enough of a buffer that it was going to be okay.
Yeah, cool. And how did it go, the race start? You know, you said maybe go a bit quicker. Was it quite controlled, or like everybody else, you know, kind of smashed the as soon as that start when you were legging it up Coniston? How was that for you?
Yeah, it's so silly. You say to yourself, like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to sprint off because I've got 100 miles to do. I've got to be careful. I've got to pace myself. And as soon as that gun goes, that's it. You're off like you're doing a 10K. And you can't help yourself. And when everybody's there cheering you on and shouting your name, and you know, you're running there with some like really good runners, and you're thinking, oh, this is really comfortable, and you just think, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? But everybody does it, and we know, everybody knows that they do it. So yeah, and I knew like as soon as I'd gone up the first hill, I was like, that's too fast. What are you doing? What are you doing? But anyway, I settled in.
The guys all around you, and you're like staying in control, and the men are going like, it's 100 miles, the sweat flying off them, and you're like, calm it, dudes.
I know, yeah, it is funny, and yeah, I probably, that kind of first big climb up Walnut Scar Road was kind of where I was just like, right, look, settle yourself down, stop being silly, and just kind of settle into a pace then. But it was kind of at that point then I really regretted not bringing my poles on the whole journey, because like I was puffing and panting, and there's just these people with their poles just gliding past me effortlessly, and I'm like, oh, why didn't I just bring them?
We've done a lot of pole chats. Are you well versed in poles, or was that a new purchase for the race?
No, that was very much a new purchase for the race. So I don't spend a lot of time doing like really detailed race prep. I kind of just like to rock up and just cope with situations as they arise. But I'd made the decision to buy some poles. I got a bit of FOMO actually, because I think they just seem to have taken off. Like poles in the last couple of years have just really taken off.
Yeah.
And like I'd kind of been following hard rock, and you're looking at like all these people in hard rock, and every single one of them have poles, and you think there must be something to it. And I remember on particularly the Cheviot Goat, actually, there's quite a lot of climbing in the Cheviot Goat, that I was battling another lady called, a fantastic Scottish runner called Lynn Allen, on this race, and we raced each other for 30 miles. And I could catch her on the downhills, but on the uphills, she had poles, and she just made it look effortless. I was burning a lot of energy trying to keep up with her. And it was then I was like, I really need to think about these, you know, because they could be a bit of a game changer. And I kind of forgot about them and hadn't really thought. And then I just said, nah, I'm going to buy some before the Lakeland 100, but I'm not going to carry them because I didn't have time to train with them. I wasn't going to carry them on the whole race because I wasn't comfortable stowing them. I hadn't done any of that admin training that you need for poles. So I said, what I'll do is I'll race the first half. I'll chuck them in my bag of Dalemain. If I want them, they're there. And and now I think on a race like the Lakeland 100, I'll have to do some admin practice and just take them with me, because they do, for the uphill, I mean, the drive that you can have with poles going uphill is just phenomenal. Like, it's just incredible. And I would always be, I'm a weaker uphill runner, so my strength is downhill running. So if I can kind of be a little bit stronger on the uphill, and if I need poles to do that, then that for me is, it could be a game changer for me.
I bet you've got a good strong upper body though, from pushing all those cows around.
Yeah.
I bet you'd be like, a couple of goes at the poles, you'd be like, oh yeah, it's just like the day job. Come on.
Yeah, pretty much is. Yeah.
Quite an eventful race, and I think, you know, a lot of times the wheels fall off a bit later on, but you had to battle quite early on, actually. I think I'm sure I've read or heard somewhere you lost a shoe.
Yeah, so the Lakeland 100 was the first race that I'd done where just from the outset, I just thought, I'm having a disaster race here. Like everything's going wrong. And it actually started, it's really silly, but it actually started with I somehow, in my rush to get ready, because basically I couldn't get the full day off work. So I actually had to go to work in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
Race starts, yeah, so the race starts at 6. I actually had to go to work in the morning. I had to do 50 pregnancy scans. It's not a big job, but you don't really want to be doing it shortly before a 100-mile race. And it didn't leave me with a lot of time to get ready. So I got down there, and of course I hadn't been organised enough, and stupidly, don't know how I did it, but put my sock on inside out, and it really bothered me. Like, it's just something so silly, because I use Vaseline for my feet for blister prevention, and you wouldn't think it, but like just having the Vaseline on the wrong side of the foot just really annoyed me. And as soon as I started, I was like, oh, this is going to really bother me. But anyway, I was just trying to ignore it and forget about it. And then anyway, I was like running, and I thought I was doing reasonably well. Like I like going downhill. I like going fast downhill. And then got into the first checkpoint at Seathwaite, thinking I knew that Eve Moore, who's the lady who finished in second ultimately, I could see her coming up Walnut Scar Road behind me. She had poles. She was moving really, really well. And I thought, well, she's got poles.
Bloody poles.
Oh, I know the poles, I know. And I really wished I'd had them. So yeah, I was like, but I smashed it downhill. I literally ran as fast as I could down the hill into Seathwaite. And I know, I love downhill running, it's best. And I got into Seathwaite, and I couldn't believe it. Literally, I looked behind me, and Eve was there, and I was like, where have you come out of?
God damn it.
Like, just right there. Instant. And I was just shocked. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, she's a strong runner. And so anyway, we ran for a little bit together, but she was ultimately a lot stronger than me on the uphills. And then I just started to feel a bit low, probably because I had smashed my way down into Seathwaite. Started to feel a little bit low, and I was starting to get a bit clumsy and trying to keep up with Eve, and I couldn't keep up with her. And then running through, it's Hard Knot Forest, isn't it? When you come out, you climb up out of Seathwaite, and it's Hard Knot Forest. And I was just running along there, and there's some boggy sections, and I literally couldn't believe my luck. I just ran straight through a bog, and it just went, and I looked around, and my shoe was behind me. I was just like, oh no, this is not what I need. And so, like, already quite a few people had overtaken me, and then as I was trying to get my shoe out of the mud, and there was more people overtaking me, and then I'm trying to put the shoe on, and it's covered in bog, and it was just like, I must have wasted 5 minutes there. And then, of course, because there was no clean water, my shoes full of mud, so I'm like dealing with this kind of horrible, thick, squelchy mud, and I was just thinking, oh, rubbish, this is just proper rubbish. Loads of people had overtaken me, and it just was from there, I just started to really get demoralized and just feeling rubbish. And then my appetite went really quickly, and then I started to feel, probably from boot onwards, just started to feel really nauseous, and I couldn't eat anything, like literally. And I do sometimes feel nauseous.
Okay.
But this was like different. It didn't seem quite right. And I couldn't, like, every time I went uphill, I just wanted to get sick. I wasn't too bad going downhill. Like, it seemed to take my mind off it. Because obviously when you're going downhill, you're kind of concentrating on foot placement and things like that. And I didn't really mind that. And then, and I thought, at this stage, running along the shores of Buttermere, we must have been going for what, like maybe 5 hours or something. And I was thinking,
yeah, it's about a marathon, isn't it? At that point.
Yeah, it's like, I must be really hungry. So I was like, I'll get to Buttermere and I'll have some good grub and I'll get some solid food into me and I might be all right. It'll probably make me feel better. And I just got into Buttermere and I was like, oh yeah, I want a hot dog. Yeah, hot dog sounds really good. Yeah, I'll eat one of them. And I literally took one bite and I turned around and just the entire contents of my day just came up. And I thought, oh, this isn't good. This isn't good at all. Because that's never happened to me before. And unfortunately, there'd been a bit of a bug, like a sickness bug, going around work. And at that point, I was like, I wonder, have I got this? And then, that was where I felt really low.
Did you
I
rally a
thought,
bit though?
wow.
Sometimes Eddie mentions the puke and rally after you puked. Was it like I feel
Oh
good?
yeah, I rallied for about 20 minutes. I felt fantastic. And I remember being
Rally.
at
So repeat, unfortunately, it's normally repetitive, isn't it? That the puke and rally, it doesn't then end, then you need to repeat the cycle time.
yeah. And then at Buttermere, I mean, I was in such a daze. I wasn't really fully there because I felt so awful. I remember Amanda Kirtley, she's absolutely cracking lass from Carlisle. And I remember her saying, "You'll feel better now, you'll feel better now." And to be fair, I did. I felt pretty okay going along from Buttermere along, before you head up the call to Braithwaite.
Yeah.
And I felt pretty good. And then again, it was going uphill. I don't know what it was about going uphill. I just felt so sick again. And so that was really my lowest point. And I just kind of soldiered on really. And I thought, yeah, just eat what you can, drink what you can. But I couldn't keep anything down really. And
the effort when you were going uphill, I wonder if that extra effort kind of turned your tummy on.
Yeah, I think so. And I do wonder whether if I had my poles at that point, it would have felt better. But, but I didn't have my poles, so I had to soldier on.
The amazing thing about the poles is that not only when you're feeling really good, you feel like Killian because you can like power up, but they're amazing for just holding over when everything else has gone wrong. When we did Tour of Mont Blanc and we had my poles and we were going up out of Courmayeur and it was really, really hot. We were really tired and I'd had some dodgy breakfast and I just had to go. I was like, I'm just going to be sick. I've just planted my poles and make a good evacuation zone. Sick. And then I was like, oh, I feel so much better. Use the poles, clear the sick.
Awesome. Yeah. They're just their support, aren't they? They're just like something to lean on.
Feeling so rubbish.
Yeah.
When did it get around then? Because, oh my God, you've painted this picture. You go like, we have this image of you, which I know isn't true, of you stumbling around in the dark, being sick and hardly able to finish. But then, where did this turn around? When did you get some fuel in?
Yeah, so I say Buttermere was my lowest point. No, I mean definitely my lowest point was on the shores of Ullswater. So because I got into Dockra and Old Coach Road was really hard for me, like really hard. I think it's hard for everybody because it's quite flat, but you're tired and it's dark and it's
long way to
been
go.
Going for hours and it's really hard. And I got into Dockra and I just felt as sick as a dog. And I said to the marshals, I was like, oh man, my stomach's really bad. And they were like, have some ginger beer. And I was like, oh yes, ginger beer is really good for bad stomachs. I'll have some ginger beer. So I took some ginger beer and it was fizzy. And I thought, oh, I'm going to regret this. And then another guy came up to me. I don't know who he was, but he was really lovely, bless him. And he was like, oh, have these gin-gins. I didn't even know what a gin-gin was.
Oh, what is
apparently it's a ginger-flavoured sweet.
There's a lot of ginger going on here.
Ginger, yeah, I know. But in my head, I was like, yeah, ginger definitely makes you feel better. So it had this ginger sweet, and he said, honestly, this'll bring you round. This'll bring you round, and I'm sure it will if you've not got some sort of vomiting bug.
Yeah.
Anyway, I took the gin, and God, it was hard to eat. It's very gingery. So I was coming along. Dropping down to Aberforce, which is normally my favourite part of the Ullswater Way.
Yeah.
Living in Penrith, I do the Ullswater Way loads. Usually, absolutely love that. And I was thinking, oh God, I'm feeling worse and worse. Anyway, got to a gate. It's just basically where you come around the corner and you get this fantastic view of Ullswater because the sun. I mean, it was getting bright. There was no sun. Anyway, and I just literally rounded that corner and I thought, oh no. And everything just came up totally uncontrolled. I didn't even have a chance to get out of the path. Everything just came up.
Oh, so it was your puke that I ran past then, was it?
Probably, more than likely, because I couldn't even get off the path. It just uncontrolled came out. I thought, oh, crikey, this is going to be a long way to Dalemain. So anyway, I kept slowly making my way, thinking I am losing absolutely tons of time here. And then there's a little section, it's that kind of new, Lakeland 100 has funded some footpath repairs, kind of through some fields just before you climb up to the road at Bennett Head.
Yeah, I know you mean.
And going up that hill, that was where I was saying, I'm quitting here. I'm done. So same thing. I couldn't get off the path in time. I was puking up this horrible black fluid.
Oh.
I had nothing in me, literally nothing left in the tank. I looked at my watch and I was like, I'm only 50 miles in. I've got another 55 miles to go. I can't eat anything. I can't drink anything. I'm quitting at Dalemain. And I was like, it's okay to quit. You know, everybody quits. You know, there's always next year. You know, something's wrong with my stomach, blah, blah, blah. And that was it. I'd kind of accepted it. And then I kind of made my way to Dalemain, and I thought, right, I'm ready to hand my tracker in. And I came around the corner, well, yeah, you know, ready to hand everything over. And Eve, the lady in first place, was there. And I thought, what? What? Like, how? I don't know. I don't understand this, because I was sure like I had lost so much time, because I was at a snail's pace at that stage. And just seeing her there, I was like, my race isn't over. Like, I can do this. And I just really quickly, I changed my t-shirt, because my t-shirt was like soaked and felt minging, and grabbed my poles. I thought, come on, Emma, you can do this. There's only 45 miles left to go. It's not far. It's only 45 miles.
I love that shift in mindset. That's amazing.
Yeah, and that was it. That was my race turned round, and I had a brilliant race after that. Well, brilliant's relative, but you know, my race went from being an absolute disaster to actually suddenly I'm enjoying this. You know, I felt really strong in the hills because I had my poles, and you know, you know, just going up that hill up from Pooley Bridge up to Rowhead, and I was just like, I just felt like I just started running. You know, I basically just felt I'd kind of struggled along for 55 miles, and then suddenly I could run, and yeah, that was the turning point in my race. And I still felt really sick, and I still couldn't eat very much, but I just had this newfound drive and power that just, yeah, I don't know where it came from. So it was the total opposite race to everybody else, where people start really strong and then have a really, you know, bad second half. I had a terrible first half, and then it was almost just hitting that halfway point and thinking, oh, there's not that far left. I've already done this. I did this last year. You know, it's not that far. And that was the turning point, really. And actually, I really enjoyed the race from there on in, bar the last 5 kilometers. But, you know, I enjoyed the rest of it.
Did you run with Eve at all, or was that literally saw her at Dalemain and then you kind of parted ways, or did you share any miles with Eve?
Yeah, we did. We shared a couple miles through Pooley Bridge. I know she'd been suffering with her stomach like me as well. And I know there was quite a big section after Dalemain that she slowed down a lot. Which, yeah, so I probably parted ways, just kind of near the cockpit, you know, up on Askham Fell, just near the cockpit, we probably parted ways.
Yeah.
And that was it really. But like I say, I just had from Dalemain through to Tilberthwaite, I felt like I had a really good race, and I shared a lot of miles with a really nice Irish guy called Shane Lynch, who I've never heard of, but you know, I remember him saying to me at the start, "Oh, you're Irish as well," and I hadn't seen him. He'd been miles ahead of me, and we met up, kind of going up Fewsdale, and he'd not recce'd any of it, so he didn't really know where he was going. So I kind of was his navigator for kind of 25 miles, and that was really nice. It was just nice. It was just nice running with someone where you don't feel like you have to talk very much, but you're just both suffering in your own little worlds together. And actually it makes it a lot easier when you've just got someone there that's, you know, going through the hard times like you are. And I really enjoyed that.
Sharing suffering is the best, isn't it? Just the shoulder to shoulder suffering, no words needed, the odd grunt. And
and the odd scream of frustration.
Toe again. Yeah.
And swearing at Haweswater, the heather and everything.
Bracken.
Bracken round. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it, when you can share some miles with people and you don't feel like you have to kind of force conversation, you're just chugging along together. Yeah. You really picked up after Dalemain and all the way till Tilberthwaite. You felt like I'm curious, did you overall, was it a negative split if you kind of put a line halfway?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I haven't looked at that. I certainly felt a lot better. Like I felt a lot stronger. You know, and I felt like I was descending really well. So I don't know. I'll have to have a look. But yeah, certainly I lost a lot of time from Tilberthwaite. I don't know, I just hit an absolute brick wall at Tilberthwaite.
Not surprised.
I think
the blood where your poor energy system went, I can smell Coniston.
yeah.
We're shutting down now. We're shutting down.
Yeah, I think so. And I remember like going up, I just thought I'd never make it to the top. And Debbie Martin Consani was actually running towards me. I don't know where she was running to, but she was looking really sprightly and having a great time. And I remember stopping, and I think, yeah, she could tell I was faffing. She was just kind of like, get on with it, you know. Yeah. She was like, you know, you can catch the man in front. And I was like, I cannot catch the man in front.
Leave me alone.
And she was like, just get on with it. Stop. You know, and oh man, that climb, my word. That is a long climb. Yeah. So, yeah. And then I just was faffing a lot at the end. Like, I don't know what came up on me. Like, I've done that section from Tilberthwaite to Coniston loads of times, and just kept stopping and like looking around me, and I had no navigation on my watch, so I was like coming down, and then I was like, oh, I can't remember how to get onto the track that takes you back to Coniston, so I'm like stopping and getting my phone out, and I was just like, what are you doing? Why are you around like this?
Yeah, just go down.
just keep going. And I just remember being really frustrated at myself. So that there is my 5 minutes for where I could have got sub 23 hours. Is that being an absolute idiot coming down from the top of the climb out of Tilberthwaite. But anyway,
talk about those 5 minutes. Do you think you'll come back then and try and iron out those creases?
Yeah, I would like to say I could do a lot better, because it was not, like I say, I've done a good few races this year. Yeah, there's been some kinks in most of them, but I don't think I'd change anything in any of the races that I've done this year, bar the Lakeland 100. I think, it wasn't the best race I've run, and I suffered a lot. So I can definitely.
That's those are the best though. That suffering and coming through the other side gives you, like, well, that's not your ideal race. You'd never want that to be. You want to be just running along with fairies and unicorns for the whole race. But having that suffering and then coming, I love the minute when you saw Eve. I just love that you went, I'm okay. And I got this. I got my balls. It was so cool.
It's amazing what adrenaline does. Whatever it is, it's quite fabulous. How, when you came into Coniston and you knew I've done it, what did that feel like? You know, I was pretty emotional, like ugly tears. How did you find that?
Relief that it was over and I'd made it. And I hadn't quit. I think, like, I'm not really a quitter anyway, but like I was so happy that I hadn't made that decision to quit, because it shows that, you know, no matter how bad things you think things are, you can come out the other side, and it's just temporary.
Yeah.
Because I literally, the last time I got sick on the race at Bennett Head before I got to Dalemain, that was the lowest low I have ever been in my life. And then to think, actually, you know, 12 hours later, here I am crossing the finish line in one piece.
Amazing time.
You know, and it's and I was like, wow, yeah, I was really overwhelmed, really, I think. Yeah.
That's great for our listeners to hear that it can pass, and it most often it does pass.
Or
it
does. At the top of the hill, and it always will pass, even though it seems endless. Now, Emma, I've heard from Little Birds that you have a crazy training schedule. Now, I don't know what that means, whether that's like you do loads, you do little, you do mad things. Can you share with us a little bit about how you train, what it looks like?
I'm going to get my pen ready for this.
Gary's totally going to put this straight on the watch.
I think most people will be disgusted, because I don't really have a training plan. I just run when I can. That is literally it. So my job's very unpredictable. So it's really hard to maintain a structured routine. And some people can do it, but I'm not organised enough to be able to do it. So I just run when I can. So I do like, yeah, I do like opposite of tapers. So I tend to like ramp my mileage up the week before a race. So I suppose you can, it's kind of like an analogy from when I was at school. So I'm very much a crammer. So I would always do nothing for the entire year and then cram everything like a couple of weeks before the exam. And I almost do the same with my training as well, which is not recommended for anybody. But yeah, it's really hard with my job, like, especially when I'm on call, you know, say for example like this weekend, okay, I'm recovering from COVID, so I wasn't going to be doing very much anyway, but like I would struggle to go out for a long run because I'm guaranteed that I'll just have started when I'll get a phone call and I'll have to turn around and come back, and that really, it demotivates you to do anything when you're on call. And I know some people can get away with it, but our on call is quite busy and you really struggle. I do quite long training runs usually, so I'm not, I don't do interval training and hill repeats and structured training like that. I literally just go out and just time on feet. Again, going back to what I said at the start, it's just time on feet, being able to keep going for long periods of time. So yeah, I'll frequently go out and do 50, 60K training runs and things like that. Slow and steady, but it's just, practicing eating, which I'm not very good at anyway when I'm racing or running, and just, yeah, spending long days out. So I'm a bit of a weekend warrior is probably what better way of saying it. So
I think it's what works for you, isn't it? And like you say, if you had a plan, you'd just get frustrated and annoyed when the Farmer Joe rang you and said, it's not coming out, the calf's not coming out. And you'd be like,
yeah, exactly.
No, I've just putting pizza in my mouth for this 50K. So maybe being a bit more organic sort of works in your favour. You talked about time on your feet. Can we talk about your feet? Because I want to hear all about Scarpa trainers, because I've just placed an order with...
What have you gone for?
I have gone for some Scarpa Spin Ultras.
Nice. Excellent.
Is it a good choice?
It is a good choice. I don't actually have them, but I have heard they are...
Cut the podcast. No.
But I'll maybe order a pair just to see, see what they're like. No, I absolutely. So I've just been really lucky. I've struggled to find trainers that work for me for years, like years. I've just struggled to find them, and I just recently found Scarpa. And I just love their trainers. Like they're reasonably new to the British kind of trainer scene, but they are, for me, just love them. I probably only really run in kind of 3 of their models, which would be the Rebels, which are kind of like they've got reasonably big lug, so I use them for like kind of fell running type routes that I'm doing. And then the Spin Infinities are what I wore for the Lakeland 100, and they are super comfortable ultra shoe. I found them really, really good on the wet rock. I was actually quite surprised. I'd never really run them on wet rock before, and they were really good. I was really surprised.
There was a lot of wet rock too, Emma. My goodness.
Oh man, it was pretty damp. It was damp on the Lakeland 100. But actually, my favourites are definitely the Golden Gate Kemas. I mean, what a superb shoe. And I'm not just saying that because, I get them from Scarpa. Like, they are the best shoe I have ever had. They're not designed for long distance, like super long distances, but I wore them on the Kong Lakes Ultra. I wouldn't have worn anything different. So they've got a carbon plate which improves efficiency running uphill. And it's not a gimmick. It really does work. I'm on my second pair already because I've done so many miles in them, and they're just super. The only thing about them is the colour is really bad for British running. So the female version are white. so mine are a permanently tinged brown colour.
Standard bog colour.
But hopefully they'll bring in some new colours. The men's colour is quite nice. It's like a nice kind of blue and grey colour, but the women's is white. But yeah, definitely best shoe. I would have worn them for the Lakeland 100, but I was a bit worried the ground was going to be a bit too hard, which I needn't have worried because it rained so much. But so I went for the Spin Infinities. But I'll have to try out a pair of Spin Ultras. I just haven't got around to it yet. Got too many shoes. Too many
shoes. But I'm always looking for that shoe on wet rock. Cushioned on wet rock is my ultimate.
It's not there yet, is it?
Not there yet, so I'm waiting to see. But these have been recommended to me, and I ski in Scarpa boots, and I love them. So maybe this could be it. But it's good to hear that you love them. Always good to hear that people have, well, actually, any shoe, people seem to be like, we had Ultra on the other week, and then there were heaps of Facebook comments of people, you love a shoe. It's like a relationship, isn't it? Oh, yeah. People absolutely love, if once you find something that you love, it takes all the worry out of everything, isn't it? That if you know that you get on, you're not going to get any foot pain, blisters. Your only thing is you need to tie your laces so you don't lose it in a bog.
But it's true, and like I say, I've spent 4 years looking for a shoe that suits, and it was just just fortuitous. It's not a brand that I normally I thought about, and then that opportunity came up, and I was like, wow, it just was like fate or something. It's like, that really works, and I love them. Absolutely wouldn't change them at all. Yeah.
So have you got anything else when you recovered? Anything else planned for 2022?
So my next 50-mile race is the Lochaber 80k, which is actually just under a month. So it's a bit unfortunate because I was hoping to race it hard because it's my style of running, really. A little bit flatter, faster, but just the way things have panned out, my training has kind of gone to pot a little bit the last couple of weeks. So I'm gonna go enjoy it. I'm just gonna go and enjoy it. It'll be nice to not run in the Lake District for a change, just see some different scenery. I'm quite looking forward to that. And then we've literally the next day we're flying out to Chamonix for a bit of a trail running holiday, so I can't break myself, so I have to be careful when I'm doing this this Lochaber 50-miler. Then I've just got a couple of other little ones like the I don't know, the mountain marathon, so we're doing that this year. But probably my next big race that I'm going to focus on is hopefully going to be Arc of Attrition. I haven't registered onto it yet, but that's in the pipeline. So we'll give Arc of Attrition a go in January.
The 100 or the 50?
The 100, yes. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one, actually. It should be good.
And then after that, anything else next year?
Yeah, so hopefully the TDS.
Big one.
Yes, the big 100-miler one, which unfortunately was called off this year due to bad weather, but hopefully...
Hopefully they might make a Route B, because I would have thought bad weather will be plaguing that race for the next few years, and hopefully they will they'll make a bad weather route next year so that the people can finish it.
It's got some frightening stats on elevation per miles. It's pretty bonkers.
Not much
It
running.
looks awesome. I must admit, I thought if I'm unlucky in the Lakeland 100 ballots, that might be a plan B, goal race. But the logistics, from me from the northeast to travel down there and recce it, and I'm not 100% convinced it's the best thing to do yet. But it looks an amazing race.
Yeah, so hopefully I'll get a chance to recce it. It's the way the route works. It's actually quite nice because you can kind of have a central base for 3 or 4 days.
You can make it into like 6 or 7 like little mini legs without having to go to different points. I've got the deets if you need them of the recce's.
Yeah, so that should so I'm quite looking forward to that. It's maybe not, it doesn't necessarily play to my strengths with so much elevation, but it would be nice to maybe train for some uphill stuff and some technical running as well, just to see what I can do, really. So that's definitely next year. I mean, ultimately the goal really is to qualify for Western States at some point over the next couple of years, but that's a bit of a work in progress. That takes a few years to get on that list.
That would be amazing.
Constant work in progress. We've got a question for you, Emma, before we move on. Our last question before we move on to the quick 5 from Jonathan Jameson, who's one of our new Patreon members. He would like to know, what is your one tip Okay. For anyone doing Lakeland 100 training, food, kit, if you could only just give one tip, what would it be?
That's a hard question. One tip. I think prepare yourself for the elements. So you really do get hit with all 4 seasons on the Lakeland 100, and it seems to be a recurrent theme every year. So it can be really, really hot. And then the next thing you're struggling to find your jacket because the rain's pouring down. So I think it's being prepared for the elements and really trying to minimize kit faff with that, so being slick on that, because you can very, very quickly get really cold if you're not prepared for that change in weather that ultimately occurs every year.
It is mad for an end of July race that you can get it all in a day. It's pretty.
Oh yeah, I mean the rain. Oh man, the rain at the end was just phenomenal. Like I've not seen anything like that in a long time.
And we've got no excuse, we get all of the elements in the UK. So, if it's in the winter and you pull the curtains open and you think, I don't fancy a run today, I think, no, if you're going to enter a race like the Lakeland 100, you just got to suck it up and
never give up. That should be Emma's top tip. Never give up.
Never give up.
True. That probably is the main tip. Don't give up.
When you're going to see it, Dalmain.
Yeah. Exactly. And, when you think your race is over, it's not.
Yeah, quick 5. Okay, Groundhog Day. You're going to wake up and it's going to be race day for the Lakeland 100, the Kongs Lake Ultra or the Cheviot Goat. Which one would you do every day for the rest of your life?
Oh, the Cheviot Goat.
Oh, my goodness. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I was just talking about this yesterday, actually. Like, I've got a soft spot for the Cheviots. I don't know what it is. There's just something about it that I absolutely love it. I mean, some of the most runner-friendly running is in the Cheviot Goat. And yes, there's a lot of ascent on that route, but the Cheviots, they really are stunning.
It's super quiet too.
Yep.
Super
yeah,
quiet
definitely. Very.
I did a Google search, so it's not extensive, but do you know, according to Google, who's the most famous Emma?
The most famous Emma, not Emma Stuart, the most famous Emma.
Yeah, most famous
Emma Watson.
Oh, bang on. Yeah, Harry Potter fame.
She's quite tricky. Who's going to have you on that one straight away, Gary?
Okay, this is another kind of groundhog theme. One movie song that you've had to listen forever. Would it be Let It Snow from Frozen, Everything I Do for You, Bryan Adams, or Ghostbusters, Ray Parker Jr.?
Oh, it has to be Bryan Adams.
It has to be Bryan Adams. Look at my eyes. You see, I went to a Bryan Adams concert.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
I love him. Not close up. I don't love him close up.
It'd be okay on a Zoom call.
That was an easy one.
Easy one. Right. I don't know the context of this one.
I need to change it. Okay. Which is your favourite? There we go.
Oh, favourite animal, cow or sheep?
Oh, cow. Don't even need to ask that twice. Do you know what? I'm just going to say this here now. Cows are the most underappreciated animal on the entire planet. They are just incredible. And I could write a book on them. Oh, they are phenomenal creatures. You will not meet a better animal than a cow.
I love a cow. I love my alpine cows. We have chats every day. You're right, my friend. What you doing? Just standing. Just standing.
Just waiting for you to come by.
Not moving very much, are they?
Moving. I'm just standing. It's hot, isn't it? Yeah. You could go in that shade. Oh, it means moving. Not that bothered. And just.
I was quite amazed how big a cow is, though, when you say you're doing a race and you're running through a field. It's like, wow, that's quite big.
That's why she's going to be so good at the polling once she puts them into a practice, because she battles the size of it.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Last question. It's hard to answer this, I know, because they're all wonderful. But do you have a favourite Lakeland 100 checkpoint?
Oh, Braithwaite. Hands down. Everybody knows it's Braithwaite.
Did you try the cheesy flapjack with Braithwaite?
No. Gary, I couldn't eat anything for 100 miles.
It could have been the game changer. It could have been the one.
It could have. No, I liked Braithwaite because it had a really good spread of food. So I was thinking, in my better days, this would be a feast for the senses. But they had strawberries. Oh man, the strawberries, they were brilliant. Although I do have to give a special mention to the Kentmere checkpoint because of those smoothies. You cannot beat the smoothies at Kentmere. Didn't sit very well in my stomach as I was going up Garburn, but the sentiment was there and they were delicious. but yeah, so Braithwaite, but special mention to Kentmere.
Okay, I like that. I like that. The two choices.
I'd like to one year. I don't know about yourself, Em. I didn't really take much time at the checkpoints, and I'd love to, because I was chasing a goal. And next year I'll probably be chasing a goal again. If I do choose to say maybe go for the slate, I'd love to one year just kind of graze my way around the 100-miler. I think that would be awesome, just to really appreciate and have the cups of tea, the rice pudding, and all that kind of stuff from all the checkpoints. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, I think that's. Do you know what? That is one thing I always regret about my races is not taking time to enjoy the food. And I just can't. But it would be really nice to just literally just wander your way around eating stuff in your face. Outside of racing, I absolutely love stuff in my face, and I'll just eat until I explode, and I love it. But yeah, during a race I can't. But I think, you're paying for this. You might as well make the most of the food. So
yet to try the cheese toasty from Tilbury one year.
Oh, that would have been good. Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not sure. No, up those steps then it would have tasted to that again a few times over the waterfall. Right, Emma, thank you so much for giving up your time on your day off, especially with the COVIDitis. Fingers crossed that you get back running again soon. Take it easy. Lots of cow cuddles, that must help.
It does.
And good luck with the rest of the year and next year.
Best of luck.
Keep us posted on any adventures, and we wish you best of luck with the races you've got left and next year as well.
Thank you very much. It's been fun.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Emma. We only occasionally get comments about, we want to hear from people who are back of the pack, and I realize we've had quite a lot of people that have been high achieving in these races. But what I love about Emma is she's totally normal. She's not doing a massive training load. No. She's not doing, she's not sacrificing, time away from family and stuff. She manages to get it all together. She's got a full-time job, a really intensive full-time job. And she's not training she's not causing stress fractures and all sorts of things. She's training really sensibly when she can fit it in. And she just loves running in the fell. She's a proper fell lady. And so I just loved her approach to that, and her sensible, down to earth. Well, is a vet, isn't it? So
I love the adversity though. She had the first half of that race didn't go to plan, and she rallied like a star.
I love it. It's just the competitiveness, isn't it? Of where she came and she was like, I could still win. Suddenly the fire is alight.
It's amazing, that adrenaline. What we got coming up, Eddie, races wise this week? Well, first for me, I saw on my radar, big one, the Great North Run in the Northeast, and comes up quite often with our guests. Great North Run, Ali Bailey is coming up soon. Of
people. You and I both, I did Great North Run many times at university.
Super popular race. I dropped a clanger, actually. They're reaching out for people to kind of volunteer and hand medals out and stuff like that at the end. And I really struggle with organising myself more than a week in advance. So it kind of slipped by my radar. So, but yeah, I wish I was there this weekend. That would have been great. But yeah, best of luck, everybody doing the Great North Run. And it is back to with COVID, they changed the route. It became a bit of an out and back one year. And I'm pretty sure it's all back to normal now. So finishing in South Shields, lovely ice creams and coffees.
Coldest place in the world, South Shields.
And then another race I noticed, which isn't happening, but I saw entries were open, the Dark Skies. And they've got a few events, actually. It's all the way in March of next year, middle of March, 18th of March. So you've got plenty of time for training for this. And if you get super lucky and you've got a clear sky, you're going to be such a treat, because it is a Dark Skies area. then if you get double lucky, you're going to see the Northern Lights too. So that's such a treat. If you, I've got
a nice little builder as well towards Lakeland. You could go and do the 14 miler, or depending where you are in the training, you could do the marathon.
No, I would do it. I've done it before pre-COVID. I did the marathon and it's such a blast. I'm just trying to use my time maybe to go over the lakes if I'm going.
I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about other people that might be listening.
Sorry, I thought you were asking me a
your
question.
own training.
So,
no, Eddie, I will be just planning on route. What's the terrain like? Is it sort of rough?
Oh, it's buffed out paths. Yeah, it's just a path around Kiel there. And they do the 10 mile, the 14 mile, and the marathon. You can actually do all three if you want. And like I say, if it's a clear night, you will be in for a treat.
We've also got the lap coming up. This is a fave of ours, isn't it? We always talk about this, and we always talk about how we'd like to do it as well. Course record went last year to Emma, didn't it? So see if there's anyone smoking fast out on the trails this weekend. Also got the Tour de Jean starting on Sunday. Sophie Grant, former friend of the show, knows she's been training hard for this. I wonder if there's anybody else out there that listens to the show that might be doing this. It's on my bucket list.
That is a monster, isn't it?
That is a monster.
And best of luck to everyone doing the lap. I've got loads of friends doing the lap from Run Paylee, Chris Sears, and loads of other people too. Yeah, it looks an awesome race, that. So yeah, best of luck. I've just seen what you've got coming up.
You make it sound really exciting.
Super exciting.
12 years of being a mum this week. 12 years, this time 12 years ago, I was in my 5-day labor trying to get that baby out. Your stomach muscles are very strong. This baby doesn't want to come out. Oh God, why didn't I just get fat during this pregnancy? Anyway, it all ended up brilliantly. We've got a birthday in our house, 12 years. Best job in the world. I know I whine about the kids a lot, but I do love them dearly. And they do definitely make me a better person. The patience required to be a mum or a dad or to have anything to do with children. And the learnings. I learn every day. I learn something and I think, I didn't handle that very well. Oh dear, I should have done that. And I beat myself up about it and like, oh, I didn't do it. And also I love the relationship with Bryn, like the husband-wife relationship as you like learn to parent together. And one does something really bad, is really shouty or something. And you know, if you look at the other one, they're going to be going, oh God.
You know, I like sometimes if I'm parenting something and I think, oh, maybe I could have done that better. But then maybe say George, you relay the event to Lisa. And Lisa backs me up. I think, oh, great. I was actually.
There's nothing like a parental backup, is there? There's either it's great the parental backup or the parental silence when the other person's doing stuff, and you know that the other person's going, "Why are you bothering? Just let it go. Just let it go." Yeah. So we've got love of family birthday. We make a big deal of birthdays in our house, so we've got some nice plans. I'm going to do some more big runs because I can't help myself, Gary. I'm an absolute binge mileage.
Break yourself, Eddie.
I won't. It's really slow. It's easy. I'll eat lots. No, they won't be as massive as last week. I'll do one long run and the other one will be slightly shorter. And it's going to be raining, so it won't be as pleasant. I'll probably come home after an hour, but I want to do some rainy stuff. I've got to
At least
test
the troughs will be full.
Well, there won't be the licking up the arm to get some moisture. After this podcast, I'm going on another Zoom to chat with my mate James. We're planning our recce coming over end of November to recce this second half of the spine. So we're going to work out logistics, what we're going to do, where we're going to stay. I was thinking today about bags, whether I just carry, Anyway, we're going to chat about that. I'll let you know next week what we've come to, and people can then message me going, that's a terrible idea. Don't do that. So yeah, what about you? Oh God, look what's coming up, everybody. Set your calendars.
More vlogging. Well, I need to really manage this because it is, although it's not a lot of time, it's lots of small amounts of time. So I'm kind of
like the podcast, Gary, isn't it?
Yeah,
like it just eats away. And you're like,
you never really have a day off with it. It's wonderful. You connect with people, and that is awesome. You can't really put a price on that. But yeah, more vlogging, and I really enjoying sharing the journey with people, which I never, I just didn't think I'd get that from it.
You didn't realize you were so talented.
Well, I love, so every vlog, the structure is I do like a little creative montage of the week, and then I'll go into the one day I did so-and-so. But I love that little 2-minute intro.
I love it.
I get a bit creative.
Music.
Yeah.
bit of shots of the glutes in action.
The B-roll, yeah. But yeah, that's the bit I really like, that little intro. So I think this week I'm going to find the music first, and then that will strike the tone for how the little intro video goes.
Okay, because like when they write music for like movies and stuff, I think they do it the other way around, don't they? And
well, unfortunately, I've not got the luxury of phoning up a composer to.
No, you've not.
No.
George is not quite there yet with his.
No. So yeah, more vlogging. So that'll be interesting. Fingers crossed I get it out Monday, maybe Tuesday. We'll see how that goes. But as far as workouts are concerned, it's 6 times 5 minutes, and then the old classic 20-20-20. I love that one. And then 2 times 10 minutes on hills, but we don't live in an area where I can find, say, a 20-minute hill. So that might not happen. And like we've said before, I don't really need to do 3 speed sessions as such. So if I drop one of those or modify one of those, it might be the 2 times 20 minutes. And then, classic long one, I might do the coastal loop again. Rex and I had a blast on Sunday. That was magic. It was pretty cool, cloudy, a bit drizzly, perfect for Rex. And it's about 15 miles. It's quite runnable. It's awesome. You go down the railway lines, that is like super flat, slightly downhill. So it's a magical run. Then you hit the coastal trails and they are beautiful. Then you go up through Castle Dean. So it's, for me, locally.
I love a long run with like you can tick off your bits, like done the flat bit, done the up and down bit. I love a mixture of terrain. It's
great. There are three definitive chunks of the run.
Is there a cafe or anything at the end? This would make it.
There's a cafe at about 6 miles. You could go to a cafe just outside Castle Dean, but no, I don't.
Straight home. Rexy's ready to get
straight home. Yeah, quite easy. Well, he's not really good sociable, so if there's a dog that he rocks up that he doesn't like,
we're never so similar.
But yeah, that is it for my week. Fingers crossed I get it all done. And the knee's improving a bit actually. So I still haven't got a doctor's appointment. Oh God's sake, I know. Well, because when I think, I'll phone the GP up, then say today, they might have said, okay, yeah, we've got an appointment at 9:30. I'm like, well, I just can't do that. So I've got to phone them up on a day when I've physically got nothing on, just in case I have to quickly move. So no, I haven't done that yet, but I iced it pretty heavily on Saturday, and it was like a miracle.
Yeah, knees love ice. They love it. I ice mine also I stand in I've got an icing pool just down the path. So when I take the dogs out for their evening stroll, I stand up to my thighs in mountain water.
That would be good. But yeah, really, really responded well to ice. So trying to, and things like that, people listen and think, we can't do this, we can't do that. We've had people on the say about doing strides. Don't extend your run to do strides and think, I can't do it because that's 10 minutes of time I haven't got. Cut your run half a mile short and do the strides. If you're sitting down watching EastEnders, just ice your knee.
I have by the sofa where I sit down for my half an hour every night is all my recovery stuff. So I have my ice pack, I have some little creams, I have my little scraper that I scrape away at my tissues. I have my Theragun, poor Britain, and I just sit there and spend half an hour going, oh yeah, that's a good bit. Oh, that's a good bit. But I have it all out, so it's there. It's just my little recovery station.
It's a good idea.
Anyway, we talked loads about your vlog this week. It's not just about your vlog. You've got some work to do as well. You've got some homework to do because you haven't put a picture up yet on the competition.
I've got loads of Scott shoe pictures.
Scots seem very popular. Scots are up there. So at the moment on Facebook running, if you haven't put a picture up yet, go and put a picture up of your favourite trail shoes. Most people are out. They've taken them out, but you can put them at home on the trails, on the tarmac. We love seeing the views and the trainers. We're just really interested as well about what everybody is running in.
Nosy.
We're just really nosy. Seen some good entries. I mean, you put your dog in there. Try not to have favourites.
That's a tip.
Really keep dog wearing trainers. I'm like,
put your dog like in the shoes too. That'd be good.
Yeah, that's just my faves. Check it out. We're going to let that run for another week. You never know. You could have very simple. Take a picture, and you could win a whole host of Chia Charge goodies.
Also, talking about competitions, if you are a Patreon member, we're running a nice and simple competition over there. It's just going to be a name out of a hat. Everybody who joins our Patreon page up until the end of September will be in for a chance to win some Chia Charge and podcast goodies. So yeah, thanks again for everyone who has joined. Super generous of you to do that. And yeah, really appreciate it.
We are having a little week off recording interviews this week because we're backed up, aren't we, Gary, with quite a few we've already recorded. But if you are a Patreon member, don't forget to check out the page every so often, because we do put questions up there if you want to get involved with any of the interviews, questions, or anything like that. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, 5-star review, whatever you feel like. Check us out on Facebook. Send us a message on Facebook. Gary loves it. He can't get enough of the Run to the Hills community. That was episode 106. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thank you to Chia Charge for continuing to support the show, sending numerous bars. Thanks, Tim. We keep saying, and could you also send bars to this? To guests, competition winners, Patreon members, everybody, friends and families, keeping Gary and I fueled in our adventures and generally being an all-round super support to everyone out on the trails. That's so important that we've been talking a little bit. A few people have approached us about being on the show and brands and things, and Gary and I are very adamant. We will only ever mention people on the podcast or work with people who we truly like, use, endorse.
And we think they add value to our listeners.
Yeah, well, they add value. It might be something that perhaps don't use, but Chia Charge, well, not only a family-run company, but also the flapjacks keep me alive, basically.
They really helped me the other day. This actually happened. I went out just for an easy run with Rex. And I'm not too sure what it was, but I started to feel I was having a little bit of a wobble. And then a little Chia Charge bar. Occasionally,
you just go for a run. You're like, oh no, it's perhaps you've forgotten a meal, or blood sugar like it's low. They send you around anyway. I've digressed. My name is Eddie Sutton.
And I'm Gary Thwaites.
And let's run to the hills.